Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 151 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So guys, we're back with episode 151, and today's episode is an absolute humdinger. It's one of my favourite shows I think I've ever done. It's a really fun podcast with an exceptionally fun lady herself, Susan Bratton, from Open Life Media. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about the situation that we've been in recently. I hope everyone's safe and well, and I have been putting out quite a lot of content regarding what you can do to keep your immune system nice and strong, your body nice and healthy. And as always, you can find my information at reviveyourself.co, also on Facebook, on my personal profile, Ryan Martin, or at Revive Yourself, and on Instagram, I've got Ryan Martin or Revive, or it's actually Ryan__Martin__, and at Revive_yourself. And there's so much information, regarding what to do to keep your body healthy. People ask me about different supplements, etc., which I'll go into, but I always say, unless you get the key principles right, good sleep, high quality nutrition, sunlight, good breath work, intelligent exercise, limiting your exposure from EMFs, you're just going to be ice skating uphill, or trying to ice skate uphill, For want of a better word, an English term, you'd be pissing into the wind. And so you need to get these basics right. They're absolutely fundamental. And to create a healthy inner ecosystem, we're 100 trillion cells, and 90% of them cells are actually bacteria. So we're far more bacteria than we are human. And if those bacteria are out of balance, and you get something called a gut dysbiosis, and that can lead to all manner of chronic issues, as well as a lowered immune system, and then pathogens and unfriendly bacteria can thrive. And look, a virus, no matter what it is, it can't overtake. It can't infiltrate a healthy vessel. Germ theory was debunked years ago. There's something called terrain theory from Louis Pasteur, Louis Pasteur was the one who had germ theory, and he said the germ. And on his deathbed, he even come out and said, look, I was wrong. The germ is nothing. The terrain is everything. And this is what Bruce Lipton goes into, and all about how if your internal terrain is healthy, it doesn't matter the situation, a pathogen, a virus, a microbe can't take over a healthy body, only an unhealthy one. It's why getting your internal health and your overall health vital and strong is extremely important. Okay, so remember to do all the things you can to create a healthy body, and that starts with the main practices, of living a healthy lifestyle, which is extremely vital. And then we go into things. I mentioned the other day, what would I do if I had, what people ask me, what would I do if I had the virus? And there's lots of things I'd add in, which I'll get into in a minute. But the two things you want to stay away from, the foods you want to stay away from, are foods high in arginine. Arginine is an amino acid that's been shown to encourage viral infections like herpes, cold sores, chickenpox, etc., and any viral condition. So foods high in arginine: nuts, seeds, chocolate, caffeine, oats, and one more, soy, normal soy, not fermented soy, normal soy. Okay, stay away from them. What you want is foods high in lysine, the amino acid lysine. That's all your fish, things like milk, kefir, raw organic milk kefir, and then you've got grain-like seeds like aromath and buckwheat. So if you've got a viral infection, you can take them. Now, as for supplements, I said before, head on over to www.reviveyourself.co, and you click on our shop tab, and you've got lots of high quality products there from around the world. I always say 99% of products on the market are garbage when it comes to supplements, but we deal with the best brands in the planet. So I have affiliate links with top companies, and I only want to bring you the best. Like, everything we use is basically whole foods in concentrated form. all of it's organic, a lot of it's wildcrafted and fermented, so it's highly bioavailable. And in Evolution Organics, I always talk about the best bang for your buck, and for that, always talk about Living Fuel. 2 scoops of it is equivalent of $260 worth of organic produce. It's high in all your vitamins, minerals, Krebs cycle minerals, phytonutrients. It's an absolute winner. Then you've got your mushroom blends from Four Sigmatic. You've got things for your liver like milk thistle, liver support from Nature's Answer. All things that are going to allow your body to keep its toxic load down, so purge these toxins, keep it clean, and therefore keep your immune system nice and strong. Another one, vitamin D3 from Ancient Purity, liposomal vitamin D3 K2, and the liposomal vitamin C as well. It's the only liposomal vitamin C on the market that's not from China. It's actually from Scotland. Powerful stuff. So liposomal means it gets absorbed straight away in the mouth. It hasn't got to go through the digestive system, so it's highly bioavailable again. And then, as I mentioned before, Finchley Clinic has got a great gut bundle for us there. Fantastic products like Restore from Dr. Zach Bush. Keeping your gut healthy during this time is essential because 80% of your gut, 80% of your immune system lies in your gut. Very, very important, and Restore is going to help heal and seal your gut lining so no pathogens can go through. And vitamin A rich foods as well, essential in this time because they help heal the gut lining and the mucosal fluid, which does actually help with viral infections. Also, I'd like to bring to attention, very, very important, the best solution for pollution is dilution, and that means getting the water you've got extremely high quality, or the water you drink, so I should say, extremely high quality in your house. So if you haven't got a carafe, I always recommend a whole house water filtration system, because it's not just the water you're drinking, it's the water that you're washing in, the water that you're cleaning your teeth in, the water you're washing your clothes in and your bed sheets in, things you're sleeping and wearing every day. It's very important. And so we use Aquitaire, in my opinion, the best whole house filtration systems on the market, from Graham Bremner, the rocket scientist. He got a system that gets rid of 99.9% of all impurities. And if you've got a 1, 2, 3 or 4 plus bedroom house, we've got options for you, hard or soft water. If you click on the link down, if you scroll down, click on the link, you've got the options there on our site at the Revive Yourself shop. And 2 other companies I want to mention, Blue Blocks, that's BLUBLOX. My man Andy Mamp for the best blue blocking glasses in the business. Most glasses are cheaply made in China. Andy's aren't. They're made from optician quality in Australia. If you want to send him your lenses, or send him your frames, I should say, you can put the lenses in them. And he sells both artificial blue light blocking glasses, and from clear to yellow to red lenses, depending on the strength. It's very, very important during this time not to have too much blue light at night, because that would lower your immune system. It'll alter your mitochondria function, your endocrine system, which are all vital. And so very, very important. Blueblocks.com, BLUBLOX.com. Put in the code REVIVE. You'll get 10% off of your order. And also, my main man, Dr. Nick Berry at essentialoilwizardry.com. All the companies that I recommend to you guys, the things that I use, and I just want you to have the highest quality stuff at this, because my only aim for this is for you to live a good life, happy life, and be free from illness and disease. And the best essential oils on the planet, bar none, by Dr. Nick Berry. The guy is an absolute genius when it comes to this. He's just he's a maverick, and it's from his own apothecary in Portland, Oregon. He's producing some the highest quality essential oils in the world, and his extraction methods are insane. It just means the body, they're highly bioavailable. And some of the things, if you go to his website, essentialoilwizardry.com, he's got all the tinctures and essential oils that he uses. He'll have videos about what's best for you and how to use them best. So once again, go there, essentialoilwizardry.com, and if you use the code REVIVE, small letters, you're going to get 10% off any order. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm just bringing out my Revive's Total Immune System Revival Program. So if you're looking just to boost your immunity and get to the optimum health that you can, this is great for you, but it's particularly of interest, and it's made for people who have been dealing with a chronic health issue or are immunosuppressed, who want to bulletproof themselves from this virus or from anything coming up. And we've got Well, we've got a 21-day program for the people that just want to give themselves a quick overhaul, like a 21-day immune system overhaul. So just anyone who's reasonably healthy, this is great for just, once again, cleaning you out. Once a year, twice a year, you should definitely have a clean out of the body, a cleansing period, give the body time to reset. This would be fantastic for you. But for people that are dealing with a deeper issue, a chronic issue, or are immunosuppressed, our 16-week total immune system revival is going to be just for you. And you can hit me up if you're interested in that at ryan@reviveyourself.co, or hit me up on any of my social media platforms and we can have a chat. Now, on to today's show, which was one of the best shows I think I've done. Just in terms of the energy was great. Susan's first time I ever spoke, Susan reached out to me, said she would love the show, wanted to be on the podcast, wanted to get out to her audience. Looked into her. She's an absolute legend when it comes to sex, sexual performance, everything. You know, she's someone who scratched her own itch, which we'll find out about in the episode. She's got many programs and free resources for you to dive into, which I'll go through at the end of the show. And yeah, she's just all about getting people to have the best life they can and to enjoy the best sex they can, and to reignite that spark maybe with your partner, that if maybe it's never been there, or maybe it's never been where you want it to be, or maybe it has been there and it's vanished. And so we go into this. She's got a great website at Personal Life Media, but I think we should just get into it because it's a fantastic conversation. I know you enjoy it. So without further ado, here's Susan. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side.
I've worked from home for 15 years.
All right,
so it's not really much of a change for me, other than that I can't go out to dinner, at the end of the workday. But I've certainly been glued to the news and worried about everything and everybody and the economy. And, I have had those moments where I thought, I think I have coronavirus. Have you seen that funny meme on the internet? It's like a chihuahua with like big bug eyes, the chihuahua with his eyes bugged out. And it's like, is that you, Rona? Like,
I mean, I think that's like going around. I mean, you would be people, the amount of stuff that's on the news and stuff. Everyone thinks, oh my God, and especially this time of year. I mean, winter into spring, the body starts to open up its detoxification pathway. Things start coming out, and so people generally around this time do feel a little bit flurry or a few symptoms. And obviously, because of what's on the news, people start, 2 + 2 = 5, and they think they got coronavirus. It has been. I'm the same as you. I've worked from home anyway, so it hasn't been a big change there. But it's just the going out, right? Whereabouts are you based in California?
Yeah, I'm in Northern California. If you go over the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, nice. You go into what is called Marin County, and I live in Marin.
Oh, lovely. I've been there. I've actually been there I'd done in California a few times, and the first time I went with my parents when I was 18. Parents and uncles and aunts and cousins, a lot of us. We went across there, and very beautiful part of the world. San Francisco is gorgeous, and in fact, the whole of California is pretty nice, right? It's not.
How about you? Where are you?
I'm just outside of, like, about 30-40 minutes outside of London, sort of like on the suburbs. Yeah, so not too far, but nowhere as nice as California, unfortunately. But cool. So today, I've been looking at some of. When I got the email through, I was looking at the amount of topics that we could discuss today. There's quite a lot, and we've probably got enough for 10 different podcasts. But to keep everyone sort of like, there's a few things because of what my audience generally, it's getting healthy, but also trying to be the best version of themselves. So there's lots of different things that you do in that realm as well. A lot of the topics have the carryover. But because of the way that things have gone with the world, I thought we'd maybe talk about some stuff that maybe take people's minds off it a little bit. So. You mentioned one of the things that was quite interesting. It jumped out at me was actually, I think it was near the top, but it jumped out at me because it was like, okay, I wonder what that is, and it was the 5 pillars of passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I have sort of an idea what they could be, but could you? First of all, for the audience out there, I'll do an intro for you before the show anyway. But like for the audience out there, give a little bit of background, just because you've been on a lot of podcasts and a lot of great conversations, listening to a couple. One you had with Ben Greenfield. The other one's is it Sex with Jessica? Is it? I think Sex with Jessica podcast. I can't remember if it was that. You've been on quite a few, yeah.
Sex with Emily?
Emily, that's it. Yeah, Sex with Emily. Yeah. And so, yeah, just for the people out there, just a little bit of background, like how you got into what you do, and who you help.
Sure. And a question for you: when are we going to start recording?
We're already recording. That's the best way to do it.
You're so funny. Okay. Well, the first thing is that when you ask me about the 5 pillars of passion, what I actually have to do is I have to go back and remind myself what they are, because I've written 34 sex technique books and relationship books
34.
and 2,000 articles. I've made 250 videos on YouTube. So like my knowledge is vast. And sometimes when someone's like, hey, what are the 5 pillars of passion? I'm like, well, shit, I don't remember.
That's fine. Now, I know. It's like you've forgotten the most or whatever. Like learn, I know you're coming from. Especially when I looked at the list, I was like, oh my God, I can. I bet as soon as you have a brief overview of them, you'll get to exactly where they are. But I completely understand where you're coming from. 34 different books.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. I like to make sex techniques, which are essentially pleasuring skills that I like to say they transform having sex into making love. Mm-hmm. And I like to do bedroom communication skills, because being good at techniques is not enough if you don't understand how to ask for what you want and how to be willing to take feedback so you can be the best lover in the world. Mm-hmm. And then over the years, as I started doing that, I realized, the other thing that trips people up is their physical health. A lot of things go wrong with the genitals. Good old genitals have problems, For women, it's lack of lubrication or painful sex. For men, it's erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. And so I've really, over the last 15 years, created a very solid stool with 3 legs, and those legs are the pleasuring techniques, the communication skills, and the sexual health and wellness piece. And once you've got all 3 of those, you're on a solid, you got a solid seat, if you will, for your sexuality.
Well, you know what? We'll just go from there, because I think it's really interesting. I mean, it's a big part of health. It's a big part of life. Having a thorough, or say like a fulfilling sex life, especially because people, it's a part as well. I think that people can be ashamed of, or like certain things they may want or like, and they don't ask, and their sex is maybe it's not as great with the person they married as it was with a previous partner, because I don't know, they just don't click. But they don't, as you said before, if you don't ask, you don't get, or you got to listen. And I think it's very, very important. And the pain thing as well, and also like things that say can go wrong, premature ejaculation, or men as well, like just not being able to get hard. Women, as you said before, painful sex, that's one. So I think, is that what in your opinion, what's been the thing that has really been the biggest topic that you've talked about that's caused most people to be like, oh, okay, like not fix problems, but like really helped people in their sort of sex life?
I think there's a couple of big categories. One of them is penetration orgasms, how to bridge the orgasm gap. You've heard about how it's so easy for men to have an orgasm from intercourse, but it's difficult for most women. And for that, what I want to make sure that people understand is that orgasm is a learned skill. And a lot of women think, I'm just not the kind of person who can have an orgasm from intercourse, And so then they end up not wanting to have sex with their partner over time because, and by sex, I mean intercourse, because number one, often women are, they can't even orgasm from oral sex because they're embarrassed about their genitals, and or their partner doesn't really have very much skill. I mean, good or anybody who says, I don't like oral sex, never had good oral sex. It's mostly the blind leading the blind. And so then she thinks, well, I don't like oral sex and I'm not getting off, like he's been basically having sex with me for 10 years, but I don't want to do it anymore. And so women use, like a lot of excuses to get out of sex because it's not good for them. And then their husbands or their partners are like super mad at them.
I always remember.
So I try to.
I was going to say to you, I always remember something. I remember you said you tried to put it in there, but I always remember. Have you ever seen the film What Women Want with Mel Gibson?
Probably have.
He has to think of an advert, and he says Advil for the time that it's interesting. He puts it together, and it's like he said, making excuses, and women, and they will do that. And I think as well. Maybe is it like you talk about that because I didn't mean to interrupt you because one thing come to mind was do sometimes women feel like under pressure to have an orgasm and that's
always
and that doesn't let them...
Every single time they have sex, even when they're really good comers, they're like, oh, I hope I'm going to be able to do it. Performance anxiety is not just the domain of the male. Yeah, it's definitely something women struggle with all the time as well. I hope I can come this time. So one of the things I like to do is I like to make sure that people understand that what you see in the movies is the old school patriarchal view of sex, and women need a lot more engorgement. Like women have sex, and by sex I mean intercourse in this case, really fast because the guy's ready to go. And so he's in her before she's been warmed up, and then he's done before she even knows it. And so the problem is she can never get to having orgasms from intercourse, crossing that, I call it crossing the gasm chasm. And so I think that's really a big category of issue is for couples to learn how to slow way down and understand that the woman being a lunar creature, she's going to have different orgasmic response in different days. And if he can understand that the more she tells him what she needs in the moment, the better lover he's going to be. That because he's testosterone dominant, he thinks he already knows. He thinks he's got it. He's very confident. And so he overestimates his skill, way overestimates his skill.
I don't believe that.
And so she's afraid to tell him. And often she doesn't even know what she wants. She just knows what she's getting isn't it. And so she's pulling back, and then he's offering her sex and offering her sex and offering her sex. And she's like, no, thanks, no, thanks, no, thanks, no, thanks. And then he's like, what's wrong with you? You see those guys that they have serial marriages and divorces, and every wife is younger. He keeps trying to find a woman who wants to have sex with him ongoing. And he doesn't realize it's his lack of skill, not her lack of sexual desire, that's getting them to the point where he divorces her because she won't have sex with him anymore, right? So it's one of those things that I'm trying to get people to be aware that if you just flip the model and you begin to communicate and you begin to go at her pace, and you lead her to her sexual pleasure because you are the masculine sexual leader, but you don't assume that you know. You're always curious and open. That mindset, because I know a lot of the things that you talk about on your show have to do with shifts in mindset and shifts in limiting beliefs. I've seen that very clearly in the episodes that I've listened to. So I think that's a mindset where if you think about the female genitalia and the male genitalia, and you look at, okay, he's got a penis and she's got, we call it a vulva these days, not a vagina. What do you guys call it over there?
Oh, penis and vagina, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's in terms of like, that's what they'd write in a newspaper, I suppose. Yeah.
So it's not really a vagina. These days you call it a vulva because the vagina is just the sheath that the penis goes into. And women are like, that's bullshit. That's the patriarchal view of my genitals. My genitals include all this other stuff, and I want it all to be counted. Okay. So, but the words that I like to use are yoni and lingam. They're a tantric sex. The two words are more of like a slow, spiritual, sexual, connected sex type of thing. So the yoni, Y-O-N-I, is the female's entire genital system. And the lingam, that's his. Now, it's interesting because that's really thought about as his penis, but I think his entire genital system includes the penis, the balls, the prostate, the whole area. There's so much great tissue there. So when you think about not just the part that's sticking out, that's visible to the eye, the little tiny clip of the tip of the clit or the penis and the balls, if you think about the entire structure, the system that goes inside, then what you realize is that 50% of the erectile tissue in his body is out and the other half is sticking in. It's like a banana that's only half showing. All that erectile tissue. Hers is 95.5. 5% is showing, and even less for some women, and 95 is in. So would he ever have intercourse if he didn't have a hard-on? Nay, he would not. Would she? She does it all the time. She has sex way before she's got an erection because the clitoral structure has as much, and I dare say more, erectile tissue than the masculine penis, the lingam. And so what happens is she's constantly having sex before she's turned on. Well, how long are you going to do that and still want sex? So this is the wrong I'm trying to right by giving people more information to think about, oh, I've got to give her an erection before I have sex with her. Okay, what do we need to do? Well, use your hands, use your mouth, use your tongue, use some toys, you get some good oil, get going and down there and start to love all of the pieces of your genitals, not just the tip of the iceberg and the thing that's sticking out.
Yeah, I completely. So with that, when you say, because a couple of things, I think in some way it's, you say communication is absolutely key because I think like men might be like, well, why didn't you tell me what you wanted? Because I think nowadays, I know at least people that I talk to, very much open to, you want to help, you want to please someone, you don't want them to think that it was not fun or they wouldn't want to do it anymore. So like, tell me what you wanted. But also men have to be open to receiving that information. And two, like women need to be people like you to tell them like, maybe it's time you actually spoke up and asked and told him what you wanted. It's sort of like it needs to be 50-50. And when you said that,
she doesn't know. Sometimes she doesn't know what she wants.
Oh, really? She doesn't know what she wants. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Because she's never had that experience before.
A couple things. Number one, men watch a lot of pornography. Okay. So they think they know what sex is, but they don't because pornography is not how women want to make love. And young women who've watched a lot of pornography, they're dissociated from their sexuality and they're living someone else's imagining of what their sex life should be. That's number one. Number two, women are generally demure and socialized to go along with things and to give, not ask. So there's the socialization piece. The third thing is women generally don't celebrate their genitals the way many more masculine bodied people do. So women are like, ooh, it's ugly. It might smell. I don't know. Younger women are getting more emancipated, but overall, women are very, very shy about their genitals, much more so than our male body partners who masturbate every day. And they really like their penises, but not all. There's a lot of genital shame for men as well. And then women being very hormonally cyclical because we're lunar creatures. What we wanted yesterday isn't what we wanted today. Also, because women are more strong now and financially secure, they don't feel like their partner creates a safe haven for masculine leadership in the bedroom. So they feel like they have to kind of find their own way. There's just like a lot of confusing things that hold women back from asking for what they need. Partly it's that they've never even had the experience to know what they want. And they're afraid to hurt their guy's ego. Yeah. There's a big one.
I actually just wrote that down, get your ego out of it. And I think that's like you know what though? It's like when you actually like, or in a loving relationship or really like someone, I think it's, you get your ego out of it. I mean, you just be like, okay, that's fine. I personally, and I speak for, I think my male friends I've had chats with about this, open to discussion. I think it's absolutely essential because otherwise, as I said before, you want to want them to enjoy it as much as you. It is like something that it's a team sport at the end of the day, right? So you need to be like that. Otherwise it is boring, and people start looking elsewhere. And so that's a big. And I actually wrote that, get your ego out of it. And I know for a lot of men, probably because I think it's a bit of. I think you're right. It's a bit of both, right? It's like men feel like they should know what they should do, and they've watched certain things, and they feel that, all right, yeah, that's what I should do, and I've got to take lead, and I've got to be dominant like that. And women are like, well, I should be led. And so it's sort of like, but both. So it's like open communication, very, very key. You mentioned there about getting her to the point of having an erection or being ready for intercourse.
Yeah.
Signs of that would be her being moist in the vaginal area or vulva. Would that be like her ready? Yeah, because otherwise, when you say women have a lot of sex without being ready, I mean, my personal experience, that would be very painful for a guy, I should say, if they weren't using. I mean, if a woman wasn't, that wouldn't be fun for me either, I don't think. But I don't know. Am I off base there? Because if a woman isn't ready, that would be quite dry, quite harsh. Maybe no, maybe that's just what I've been used to.
Well, there's a couple things. The first is that, and I want to circle back and talk about the sexual soulmate pact, which is a lover's agreement for communication technique. And that's at sexualsoulmatepact.com. And it's the structure that you two can learn to have great sex together. It opens up the lines of communication. It basically explodes passionate lovemaking, and it's a very simple technique for communication in the bedroom. But this is a really weird thing about being ready. How do you know when she has a clitoral erection? How do you know when she's turned on? And a lot of women will rush it themselves because they're so used to rushing it. They've literally never even experienced what full engorgement and turn on looks like. So they're, part of the problem. So what you would look at would be when you're thinking about female genitalia, you're looking at the outer labia, the inner labia, the entrance to the vaginal opening, the mons, that whole, the entire, everything between her legs. When you are starting to have sex and you would look at her, she would look flaccid. The tissue would be kind of a little wrinkly. It would be small, low, not turgid, not full of blood. And she has erectile tissue in her clitoris above the top of her opening to her vagina that drapes over both sides of the opening to her vagina on the inside. That's her clitoral legs and arms. And then she's got erectile tissue up inside her vagina. That's her G area or urethral sponge. Some people call it the G spot, but it's not a spot. It's a whole long tube of erectile tissue. That will start when she gets turned on to peek out of her vagina. And then down on the bottom floor of her vagina, there's a perineal sponge that gets swollen. So essentially what happens is she goes from kind of flat to very plump, and almost like the tissue's bouncy and springy instead of just kind of stuck. It has a lot of movement and fluidity, and it's jelly-like, and it jiggles, and it's full of fluid. Because the thing about lubrication is that is not necessarily a sign of arousal.
Right.
It's some women are lubricated because of the time of month, because of their diet, because of their hydration, all kinds of things. So you have to almost decouple lubrication from arousal as a perspective. Now, that being said, when she gets fully engorged, her lubrication will increase, because what happens, the vagina doesn't have any glands in it for lubrication. The way the vagina gets lubricated, it's vaginal mucosa, which is like the inside of your mouth. It's tissue like that. And her blood plasma sends fluid through the tissue and it seeps into the walls of her vagina. As well, for women who are able to have female ejaculatory experiences, who can ejaculate, which is not pee. It's actually coming from her blood plasma, the water, the fluids in her plasma, trickle down through something called the Skene's glands into her urethral canal. And when she has a contraction, a musculature orgasmic contraction, it can force the fluid out, or it can seep out in more volume. All women are different all the time. And even ejaculation is a learned skill, a skill of letting go rather than holding back.
So can every woman do that if given the right stimulus? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Every woman can ejaculate. Every woman can orgasm in many different ways. Every woman can orgasm from penetration.
Oh, really?
When the conditions are right. Yeah. There isn't a woman who's like, no, I just can't do that. That's just her limiting belief and her lack of getting the conditions she needed to get there.
It needs to be relaxed, right?
Could be many. What?
You need to be first of all, like, she needs to be relaxed and probably trust her partner. I think that would be quite a big one, right? Because otherwise, it's just being tense. And as you said before, like having those levels of expectation. I mean, probably when even like what starts off as if you have a new sexual partner, I suppose if you don't talk about it, it just continues down that road of just expecting certain things or patterns and not actually talking about things and not building up that trust. I think that's a huge thing, right? If you've got that trust, then she can completely relax. I think it's the same for a guy as well, though, right? If he can be really tense and uptight, and that can lead to premature ejaculation, getting too stimulated, rather than being like, okay, I can just relax. I mean, do you deal with as many men as women? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, even more. But you said something really insightful. Right when you just started talking, you said getting her to relax. And that's something that is often difficult for men to understand because testosterone makes guys very goal-oriented and very like full speed ahead.
That's why I wear that. And you're like that, yeah? That's why I wear penis in your vagina. It's like, that's the symbols, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And when guys want to get her turned on, when they're trying to get her aroused, they go right for her crotch, they go right for her breasts, and they're trying to get her up. They're trying to get her turned on, right? The problem is that they skip the step of emotional connection, making sure they're really well groomed because she's more sensitive to things like odors, scratchy things, etc. So like the number one thing women want as a man sexually is for him to be well groomed. And often guys show up in the bedroom with scratchy toenails, scratchy beards, a pubic hair dangling from the bottom of their shaft. Like, if you want to know why she's not going down on you, check the underside of your dick, right? You guys, you should see Ryan's face right now. He has the funniest face. His nose is all wrinkled up because we're on video. You're listening to us, but I can see him and he can see me, and he's all like, "Ew, my God."
You know why as well? Because someone who does take their personal like hygiene very like I'm like what you're saying, like I'm very meticulous with it.
You're a good-looking, well-groomed man.
But
go outside and look around.
I didn't mean like that. I meant like I've been in changing rooms with men, and it's been like, oh, I would dread to think, I'd dread to be your girlfriend, your wife, whatever. And I'm just like, and so when you're saying it, I was picturing a few things, and that's why my face is cringing, because you know what, it works the other way around as well, though, right? Because if a lady wants you to go down her or sexual, whatever it is, and it's not well kept, and it's what you said, like not, and it's not a pleasant experience for a man. It can really put men off. It works both ways. So it needs to be like, as you said, it has to be a team performance.
Yes, and different people like different things. Some people are like, oh, I like it all shaved clean, and other ones are like, I like the big bush. So that's personal taste, which is fine. I mean, thank God for personal taste. But going back to your insight, your immediate hit was so right on, which was you got to get her relaxed before you can get her turned on. And guys skip that step because they're so like with their testosterone ready to go. So the whole damn thing is Slow the heck down. Drop in, get vulnerable, get connected, have some fun. A lot of guys, especially guys that have been in relationships for a long time, that are now pissed off at their wife or girlfriend because she's not giving them the sex they want. It's because they've forgotten to romance her. They've forgotten to hold her. They've forgotten to honor her, cherish her, appreciate, because they got so pissed off at being rejected that they've emotionally disconnected. And it's because they kept offering sex. Do you want to have sex? Do you want to have sex? Do you want to have sex? And she's like not there. She's way behind you. You got to go back and get her and hold her and love her and connect with her and get her turned on and tell her, baby, you're so hot. I love you so much. You're such a beautiful woman. You're my girl. Like that's what we need to want to open to our guys. But he forgets that because he's ready to go. So often it's simple corrections like that make a really big difference.
I really I'm just trying, because all I can talk about is my own experiences in terms of, obviously, my experience, and then like having talked to previous girlfriends and my male friends about these sort of things. You get different. I mean, everyone. Although men, and it's like I think Jordan Peterson said once. He said like if you asked who was the most aggressive out of men and women, and you said men, 60% of the time you'd be right. But it's not a massive difference. But you look at the extremes, the most aggressive men is like generally 100% of the time extremes because they're all in prison, Whereas you do meet people and men and women who are like different things turn them on. So I've myself had different girlfriends who like that, been, once you get to know them, slow, build up, etc. And others who have been very more masculine in their approach to sex, in terms of getting, almost being like wanting things quite quick, or not just quick as in terms of like how long it lasted, but got there quite quick, as in it didn't take that long to turn them on. Don't know if that was just like how they thought the situation should be or not. But like, do you get that a lot with me? Very different, or is it? Or most women generally take a while longer to warm up. So I'm trying to ask a question without being too like obscure.
No, your question was very apt. What you asked was, is there a bell curve of sexual response? And one of the things that I would say is that I'm imagining that what we're talking about here are you looking over a history of fairly short-term sexual relationships, like maybe serial monogamy, or dating women over the course of a number of years. You've had a wide variety of types of girlfriends. Some were jumping on you, and others you had to bring them forward. And what we're really talking about here is new relationship energy. It's all well and good for the first 90 days or, 4 months or 6 months. But usually by the time you're 4 to 6 months in, she's not jumping your bones like she used to, because the new relationship energy's worn off. And so what I'm talking about isn't just the short term. I'm talking about how do you keep sex getting better and better, getting on what I like to call the upward pleasure spiral, where it keeps getting better and better over years. Now, I've been with my husband for almost 30 years. I'm pushing 60. And my good. Sex, thank you. It's a lot of good orgasms. And my sex life with my husband, sexual satisfaction has never been better. That guy and I are incredible in bed together. And I think that's a really important thing that is a distinction that I wanted to make, is what I'm about is not just, it's easy to have sex for 3 months with somebody, like really.
But was it always that way though, Susan?
It's always.
With your husband, was it always
No, not at all. The whole reason I turned into a sexpert was that we almost got divorced because our sex life fell apart. A decade into our marriage, we're like, what are we doing here? Are we getting divorced because we're not having sex anymore? And it was me not wanting to have sex with him.
Right.
Because I never had orgasms from intercourse. How the hell long is a woman going to have sex if she's a masturbatory sock for a guy.
Yeah.
Like about 10 years. That's about how long we can go. That's the guy with the serial wives. He never really learned how to get vulnerable and connected and slow down and make sure she got turned on. He just kept having sex with her until she couldn't stand him anymore. And that's much more the pattern that lays out.
Yeah. No, I can understand. So yeah, so also I want to that's go down that rabbit hole a little bit for me. Like, so when you said a decade and almost divorced, you got into it. Like, how did you discover it? Like, what was your journey? Who did you go to? Like, what was? I mean, was it like tantric and going down different? I suppose what's the book called? Kama Sutra and things like that. I mean, I don't really know. Like, what was the journey like?
You're so cute.
I am cute. Yeah, that's right.
You are cute.
I don't know what. So because it's quite an interesting one for someone. I mean, you know what else? It's really great to be able to talk to someone about this, and someone who's just like hits on all the vital points without being, because a lot of people don't like to talk about this because they like to keep things in the bedroom, and I think that's a big issue, right? Because but it's the same as anything. It's like certain things in the health industry you can't talk about things in cancer because everyone knows someone who's died of cancer, and it's like, oh, it's taboo, you can't say that. It's like, well, the only way we get over this is by talking about it, right? So it's good to get that, especially for someone who's been in it. Like, you scratched your own itch. That's what I did with my life. So it's great to hear it.
Well, I always say my superpower is courage, because it took a lot of courage for me to become so comfortable speaking about sexuality as just like anything else we were talking about, economics or the weather. And to a person, people are like, thank you so much for just making it really comfortable to talk about sex. And I think that's probably why I was put on this world. And what happened was, I was always a really horny little girl. I always chased the boys around the playground and tried to lasso them with my jump rope and make them kiss me. And, I was just like totally boy crazy in high school and dying to lose my virginity and super jealous of all the girls who had boyfriends and were having sex. And I spent my 20s basically screwing my way through my 20s and screwing every guy that interested me, and a couple of girls too, because I just was looking for hot sex. I always wanted to have really hot sex, and I never found it. Like, I don't know. It just eluded me. I always felt like it was the blind leading the blind out there. And every once in a while I'd get like a glimmer of what could be possible. But after a while, I literally begun to think, maybe everybody's bullshitting. Maybe it's not real. Maybe everybody's just lying about it. Because are people really having that good a time? Because I don't think it's that great. And I got disillusioned. Then I met my husband, and we had a good sexual connection. And intellectual and emotional and socioeconomic and I was like, this is the guy I want to be with. But the problem was, after a couple of years of being married and having sex the same old way, and me not having orgasms from intercourse, and him not really being very great at going down on me, and me being like, really, the only way I can come is use my vibrator, and this is the rest of my life? Like, this is bullshit.
Sucks, yeah.
That's where I was. So I just kind of pulled away from him. And as I pulled away, I would give him what I like to call at this point mercy sex, like, all right, I got to throw this guy a bone or he's going to drive me crazy. He was miserable. He was mad at me. He tried bargaining, doing honeydews, ultimatums, like everything to get me to have sex with him. And I was just like, I don't really want to. It's not really, really good.
How come you didn't? Did you ever get like thinking about having sex with anyone else? Like, was you wandering away down that path or not? Or like?
Well, what happened, and this is what women mostly do, is I had a baby, put my energy into my kid, put my energy into my career, and basically just ignored my husband. And every husband who's listening is like, yep, that's what's going on in my house right now. Like it's really bad. Like he'll get laid once a month and he'll be like, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I took it. And I don't know what I can do to make it happen again. So I just got to friggin' wait. Like, that's really what happens with guys. It's horrible. And my husband ended up having a couple of serial affairs with women who were in sexless marriages of their own. So they would meet at lunch and they would have sex. And then as he was getting really emotionally disconnected from the marriage, and we were basically living like friends at this beautiful house with our beautiful daughter, with our amazing jobs, with on the outside, it looked like we had everything. And on the inside, it was like brother and sister living together. And we're like, what are we doing? Should we get divorced? And then we said, no, let's try and fix our marriage because everything else is good, but our sex life. So we went to a marriage counselor and she said, or, like a therapist or whatever. And she's like, well, look, it's never as good as when you're young. I mean, it's just, kind of got to deal with it. And he was like, you're fired.
That's terrible advice. Yeah.
He's like, next.
Yeah. Oh, good. Right. Good on him. Yeah.
I know. And then we went to another therapist and she, everything, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. She's like, well, you're a sex addict. Because at the time, my husband was still he was still in an affair with this woman. And she was trying to get him to leave me and marry her so she could leave her husband. And so she was saying to him, you should be getting sex every day. Your wife is horrible. You need to divorce her. So here he was trying to save his marriage. The woman he's sleeping with is trying to get him to leave his wife. And he's like, ah!
Did you know this at this time?
I didn't know it at the time.
Right.
But in that second therapy situation, she said, well, my husband's name is Tim. She was like, Tim, you're a sex addict because you want sex every day. And so we're like, oh God, no. And so he went to a sex addicts anonymous meeting and he's like, I am not a sex addict. These people are screwed. Oh, God love them. So then we're like, okay, now what do we do? And then the
you should make a movie.
What?
You should make a movie.
Totally. Right? And then when you tell the story, people are like, oh, man, it gets worse from here. So let me tell you, you asked, right?
It's great. I love it. It's good.
So then the second therapist, she also was working on me while she was working on him. And she was digging into me and she was like, oh, so your stepfather sexually abused you. Oh, so for how many years? And what she uncovered with me was that all this abuse that I had taken as a child and thought that I had like dealt with and gotten over. Oh no, I just buried that stuff. Right. So I had like a whole major wounding of my own. And by the way, sexual trauma and abuse is rampant. Like the majority of people have it.
Yes.
Women at a slightly higher rate than men, but men too. I mean, our human society is very hard on young people and old people alike with sexual abuse. We have so many puritanical views that people really do awful things to each other. So she helped me work through that and actually get right with it, take it all out of the box that I'd stuffed it into deep inside me that was making me do what they call in therapy dissociating, which is checking out emotionally during sex, which is one of the reasons why I could never have an orgasm from intercourse was because every time he penetrated me, I was like, I left the scene
really?
Mentally,
okay.
Right? And so my husband became my sexual healer. He stayed with me. We were like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get you to come, we're going to get you to come from intercourse. And so when we would make love, he would be like, baby, stay with me. I see you disappearing. And I would have to like pull myself back and deal with the triggering of being penetrated. So then we kind of got through that. And then we layered on a couple of other things. It's like, okay, the foundation was the therapy of helping us deal with our stuff. And that was at the point where my husband said, I got to tell you the truth. I'm actually having an affair with somebody else and she wants me to leave you. And I was like, oh man, I felt so much shame that my husband had to go have sex with somebody else because I wasn't doing a good job. Like it was weird. Like a lot of women would be like, kick him out. God dang it. Throw him to the curb. And I was like, no, he was doing that it wasn't about me. He was doing that as a coping mechanism because he was dealing with a wife.
He wanted you.
He wanted me. He loved me.
I say that to a lot of people a lot of times. It's like for men, a lot of times, it's like women. Someone said it the other day, I can't remember, I think it was one of the coaches, he said like, when women want out, like when men want out, they don't really cheat. They cheat into when men want out, they cheat. When women want out, they just they literally leave or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but it's so many men will do that. To them, it's like live masturbation. They don't actually want the other
Yeah.
woman. They want the person they're with, but they're just doing it because they can't get the sexual tension there.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, 100%.
So we were doing the therapy thing, and then we bolted on two other personal growth type of things. And remember that your sexual growth, you get better at sex throughout your life. You get better at having orgasms. You get better at experience, connection, pleasuring, communication. Everything gets better as you age, with the exception that you do get sensation loss, which we can talk about at a different time. But just as you get smarter, wiser, more solid as a human in your regular life, you also do that in your sexual life if you don't shut it down, which some people end up doing. So we said, okay, we've got to fix our relationship. I want to fight for our marriage. And so did he. So we started I used to be the CMO of a Tony Robbins company. So
nice.
Anthony Robbins, the PD guy. And so I know just a ton about PD, personal development. And we went as a couple to some of Tony's events, and we did things like Walking on Fire and Date with Destiny. And we, at the time, one of my very good friends, Tabor Shadburn, is kind of number 2 under Brad Blanton, who runs the Radical Honesty coaching business. And we said, we need to get radically honest with each other. We're not going to make any progress unless we tell 110% of the truth to each other. And so we just started getting really, really truthy with each other. And we also started doing tantric lovemaking workshops, ecstatic lovemaking, orgasmic meditation. We started taking sex techniques workshops and learning skills. So here we were, becoming honest, working on stepping into our maturity, working on overcoming the things that had happened to us, from infidelity and abuse, and also working on sex techniques. And all of a sudden, just like pulling on those various levers in our development, bam, shit blew up in such a good way.
Shit blew up.
All of a sudden, man. I mean, my husband did a lot of goddess massage, G-spot massaging, genital massaging. I let out all kinds of upset from my seat of power, my yoni, my genitals. I just started exploding in orgasm. And I started having orgasms from intercourse, which I still think in a heterosexual monogamous relationship is the holy grail, which is why I want every man and woman, everyone across the gender spectrum, to hold belief for themselves that they can have incredible, incredible sex. And by sex, I mean penetration. And that's why I don't want people to give up and be like, oh, I just can't do it. And then forfeit their whole sex life. Because I think the penultimate sexual union of the man and woman is intercourse. Oral sex is awesome. Believe you me, I freaking love it. I'll lay there like a princess on my pillow and come for 45 minutes. But there's nothing like intercourse for the average hetero couple.
Yeah.
That's why I want people to believe it's possible, because really what it takes is vulnerability, presence, willingness to have conversation and tell each other the truth, learning new skills, like boom, 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 boom. There you go. Right? That's the answer to hot sex. And so when we had all these massive shifts where our sex life exploded into fiery passion, we were like, oh my God, we were internet people. So we're like, we need to get this on the internet. We need to bring this stuff to anybody, anywhere in the world, because very few people are going to spend $30,000 and get naked and go walk on fire and show people their vulvas in a workshop and blah, 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 all the crazy stuff we did, right? So we said, how do we make this really approachable for anybody that wants to learn how to give and receive incredible pleasure and connection online? And that's when we started our company 15 years ago. we started Personal Life Media, and we have 20 online programs that teach people all the aspects of how to transform having sex into making love. Boom. That's how it goes.
So you actually, that's interesting. No, it's awesome. I think everyone I interview, with the exception to a few people, most people have scratched their own itch. And I think, and it's fantastic because everyone that you talk, people come to you because you've gone through it yourself. And I think it's like, as Paul Chek talks about, he said, you can only lead someone as far as you've gone yourself. Otherwise, it does become the blind leading the blind. You can get very, very lost. And, you going through that. So you just mentioned there, you went through seminars, £30,000, and you had to get naked in front of other people. But that was quite an experience, Yeah?
Edgy.
Yeah. Was it uncomfortable?
So uncomfortable. I would have emotional meltdowns. I remember one time we were driving to like level 3 of the Human Awareness Institute Sex, Love, and Intimacy event. And so I already knew what I'd gone through in level 1 and level 2, and it was frickin' confronting. And I had to get out of the car and like have a fit because I was just like so edged, just like pushed to my edge. Yeah. And he's like, we can turn around if you don't want to do it. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I just had so much resolve. Courage. It comes back to my superpower. I have the courage to go where you would like to go, but might be afraid. I will go, and then I will report back how it is and how you do it. That's really, I call myself an orgasmonaut, because I have studied and taken myself out into the far reaches of the orgasmic universe so that I can come back and show you the map to the territory.
I love it. Orgasm.
It's nice work if you can get it, Ryan.
Of course it is, yeah. 100. Well, the thing is of it, it's like it's a hero's journey, basically.
Yeah,
it's going, it's the courage. The same as anything. When you first start doing it, you go out there and you're saying you're saying things, or you're putting your version of events out there, and it's easy to stop doing it when you meet resistance, or normal people don't talk about these things, or whatever it is. And even in my world, I think you're probably one of the only people I talk to who might have gone through it worse than someone who goes against the mainstream. But going out there and talking about sex, like that, it does take a hell of a lot of courage, because the norm is not to do that. The norm is to lock that away, and that's for personal, private time, but very, very important. And spending that money and going to those things, that does take a lot of courage. Like doing that in front of were they mainly strangers, or is it people you started to know? Or
didn't know anybody.
Didn't know anyone. No. And what was that institute called?
Human Awareness Institute, HAI.org, hi.org. They have 7 levels of sex, love, and intimacy. I've done ecstatic lovemaking tantra workshops. I've done orgasmic meditation. I've done a lot of sex workshops.
This sounds interesting. And you've got so now you've got obviously your Personal Life Media. You've got, how many courses did you say?
At least 20. Some of my key ones are Expand Her Orgasm Tonight, Keep Her Coming, Female Liquid Orgasm. The female version of that is Squirt Your Heart Out. The Seduction Trilogy, which includes Seduce Her Tonight, the Seduction Accelerator, How to Be Her Sexual Trainer. I've got Revive Her Drive, the Passion Patch.
We should do a joint venture on that one. Revive Her Drive. It goes with my brand.
I know.
name.
Well, remember when I emailed you and I was like, we should do revive your sex drive as our
we can do
idea, because I know a ton about libido, desire, and arousal. We'll have to do that another time.
We'll do that another time, 100%. But these names, you've gone you've really played on the porno names. I think with Squirt Her Heart. Is that it? No. Keep Her Coming. Expand Her Orgasm. Squirt Your Heart Out. That's the women's program. Yeah, squirt your heart. I mean, these are great names. They're brilliant. So, 100%.
Thank you. I like to name things.
Yeah, well, it's the way where anyone who's in anyone who has products or things that can help people. It's a great way for them to remember them, right? And it's good for you as well. It's rolls off the tongue really well. Pun not intended there, but it's 100%. We'll definitely do that one, Revive Your Libido. But if for people new to your work, that will come into you and they've listened to this and gone, oh my god, this is, or men who are thinking, you know what, that's exactly like my situation, or
Yeah.
women who are thinking, you know what, that's exactly like my situation, like men being like your husband, women being like you. What would be the programs that you've got that you'd think would be great for them to start with?
Well, I always think that what's interesting about sexuality is that everybody's at a different place, which is why I have so many different types of programs. But I would say the place to start, especially right now with what's going on in the world at this moment, would be to download 2 of my free gifts. One of them is the Soulmate Embrace, and it's at soulmateembrace.com. And that is a holding technique that does what you insightfully already know how to do, Ryan, which is calms a woman's nervous system down so that by holding her in a certain holding and hug technique that allows you to get her relaxed and begins her connection in arousal to you. So I like the soulmate embrace. I always say it's the way every woman has dreamed of being held. And then the sexual soulmate pact, PACT.com, sexualsoulmatepact.com is that bedroom communication technique that gets you really talking to each other. And the way that you do it, and these are very short books. I like little things that make a huge impact. That's my jam, right?
A lot of men out there will be loving that. Yeah.
You don't need to read 400 pages. How about 4 friggin' pages, right? So let's make it easy. Let's print it out. Let's talk about it on date night. Let's make a soulmate pact together. Let's become sexual soulmates in our sexual soulmate pact so we can start having the hottest sex of our lives. And so I think those 2 places are really good on-ramps for me. And then if you want to look at my videos, I've done hundreds of sex techniques. I get dressed up in crazy costumes. I do them from, in a space, in a sexy space outsuit on the, on the deck of a spaceship, and I'll teach you about hot sex. So those are on YouTube at betterlover.com. If you just go to betterlover.com, you can see pretty much, you can use the search box and search on any word and find a video about it. And then, and a lot of them are on how to ravish a woman, how to ravish a man, how to have orgasms from intercourse, how to talk dirty, how to do online dating, like all kinds of stuff. And then my main website that is kind of like the hub that will help you find any of the things that we've mentioned is personallifemedia.com. When you go there, there's a search box. That search box, put in anything, and you will get articles about that with resources to not just my own things, because I am one person. I've tried to give you all the fundamentals, but there's tons of stuff from other experts that I love. And so I'll point you off in the right direction too. I don't need to be everything to you. I can just help you achieve what you want to achieve by providing connection. So that's a place. And then if you're like, I love this girl, what's she really look like? What's she really like? That's my Instagram channel. That's where you'll actually see me with my husband going on a walk in the woods, and what podcast, we're going to put your podcast on there, Ryan, and things like that. And that's my name, which is at Susan Bratton, SUSAN BRATTON. And that's kind of the more, real me.
Awesome. TTON. Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. But I mean, I think a lot of this as well, I mean, we're definitely going to have you on about a million more times to go through stuff.
I love that.
But this is, great, because people like having the different sites is great, and then in personal media and having that. The betterlover.com, very good for people like their videos. Yeah, the YouTube, for the YouTube. So the key that I'm hearing here, like throughout this all, is like, but just even start this, people have to. I have this in our programs that when we put people through different health programs, like a huge part of it now is also the mental and emotional, and we do actually have a couple of things like relationship audits and like things like that, because people get into relationships, and even if they're not romantic, it can be professional, etc., where they have like expectations of each other, but there's not actually any agreement between it. So you can expect something or something, but there's no agreement, and so they get annoyed at certain things. It's like, well, did you agree to do that? No. Why did you expect it then? And so having that communication, and I think this is one of the things that I've taken from this is like if it's not going on, first of all, you have to be open to talking about it, because otherwise everything else is just like, if you go down this rabbit hole and your wife or husband's not into it, it's something you have to talk about first. So is there, I mean, we've gone for almost an hour. I know you're very busy. Is there any, what's the best way of, I mean, just doing it, I suppose, but is there any sort of like conversation, if you're saying for a man or woman to bridge this topic, to go into their partner and be like, you know what, I've been thinking about this, what do you reckon?
Well, there's two things. One is using the sexual soulmate pact if you want to establish bedroom communications that are clean and mutually supportive. That's one thing. But if there's something that's gone wrong in your relationship, a lot of times illness or issues happen with couples, and it throws this big roadblock in front of their sex life, and then they never manage to clear the roadblock and get back to intimacy again. And one of the things that I've noticed is if you talk to older people, and I'm talking about 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old people, something will happen, and then they'll never go back and fix it. And one of them is waiting for it to get fixed magically, and it never does. And that's a technique I have called the magic pill method, which is, how can I give you a magic pill that fixes your sex life when you've had emotional or physical problems that have thrown an obstacle in your way, and now you're not intimate anymore, or not in the way you want it to be? And it's a structured communication that allows you, because a lot of times guys feel like, man, if I even bring this up, she's just going to talk circles around me and punish me, and I can't hold my own in the conversation. She's a better talker than I am. And so I don't even bring it up because it's just useless. So this puts him on, and that's not always the masculine feminine that way, but it's like 99% of the time. Because women just tend to be more, able to communicate and articulate. Guys are slower to talk and think. It takes a while for what's in their head to get formed into words. It's just, I think, maybe how the male brain is, it works. And that's not negative on men. I want to say, just men, I love men. And you asked me earlier, do you help more women than men? It's 50-50. I really help people across the gender spectrum. But men, they want to do such a good job. They want to be your hero, your incredible lover. Like, they really want to please. It's the most important thing to a guy. A guy will put his woman's pleasure over his pleasure at the drop of a hat. No question asked. He wants you to feel happy with him. So the magic pill method, which is at magicpillmethod.com, is if you've gotten something, health, emotion, whatever it might be, roadblock, and it's been a long time and it hasn't gotten fixed, and you don't know how to deal with it, this is the simple system. This is the teach a man to fish, don't give him a fish. I teach you what to do so you can fix your own problem. Healing happens between partners 99% of the time. Most people don't go see an expert. They want to fix it themselves, and that's why I give people the tools to do it. So that's the magic pill method.
Awesome. And I'll just add to that, like, if you are struggling with issues that Susan's brought up today, if you definitely go and look at her website, because I have lots of coaches in my life for different things, because sometimes you need someone outside perspective to see the spots that you just can't see yourself, your blind spots. And I think, same as anything in life, you can either try and do it yourself, and it usually takes longer, it usually costs you more money, because like you're just wandering around in the dark. You try a machine gun approach and you're hoping some of it hits and some of it doesn't. But just cut through all this, and Susan's given us plenty of different options there, like free stuff, the magicpillmethod.com, soulmateembrace.com, the sexualsoulmatepact.com. There's lots of videos at betterlover.com. So there's no reason for you not to go out there and have a look at this stuff. And just speaking to, I've only just the first time I've ever spoken to Susan, and I can tell you great energy. It's been really, really fun conversation, and so I can tell that you actually really enjoy what you do, which is a fantastic thing because if you,
I do.
yeah, you do, and that's massive because it will definitely shine through in your work. So. Thank you for coming on, Susan. Definitely.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. It was a really fun conversation, and we'll definitely be trying to book you in for another time down the line. We can go into the revive your libido stuff. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Cheers, Susan. So, guys and girls, that was Susan Bratton, and so if you haven't taken them down already, there's some great places for you to go. I said. Betterlover.com, that's on YouTube. She's got the soulmateembrace.com. Also, another free giveaway for you is at the sexual soulmatepact.com. Pact with PACT.com. She's also got the magicpillmethod.com for people that are trying to maybe resurrect an issue that it hasn't been fixed for a long time. And you can follow her at Susan Bratton on Instagram, and her main website is personallifemedia.com as we talked about. And so we're going to, but that was a fantastic conversation. It was real fun. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get her back on. The list of topics that Susan can talk about when it comes to this is actually insane. So there's lots more for us to talk about, and the reviving your libido would be great. And I think as well we've got one about the 2020 sex trends that would be fantastic to talk about. Why detoxing makes you horny, fixing painful sex, that would be great. I mean, there's so many things. Pillow talk, and even getting into the 5 pillars of passion. Probably like we didn't actually talk. We actually went off track. Sometimes it's great just to go with the flow. I have a mixture of sometimes wanting questions to ask people, and other times just going with the flow. And sometimes I don't get to some questions because I think the conversation is going in a great direction. I think that was definitely the case today with Susan, because just going with the flow and listening and actually getting into a story towards in the second half of the show, which was fantastic, and just getting into a deeper level of what she thinks is the main issues. And communication is absolutely essential. Communication with people you love, professional, personal relationships, and also yourself. Making sure you have that conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, check in with yourself, make sure you're okay. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's absolutely necessary. So if you're looking for Susan, any of her work, head on over to personallifemedia.com, and the other giveaways that we've talked about, we can find her at Susan Bratton on Instagram, and that'll definitely we'll definitely be getting her back. As always, guys and girls, as I mentioned in this situation, if you're looking for help overcoming any health issues, then please hit me up with an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co. That's ryan@reviveyourself.co. I know through this time, if you've got gut issues, skin issues, whatever it may be, hormonal problems, or maybe your immune system has just been run down, I've got a program for you. We've got a program for you, whether it be our total gut revival, whether it be our total health reset, our immune system revival, whatever it is, we can sort you out. And I don't want you to feel like you're in danger of contracting this virus. As I said before, the healthier you are internally, the stronger your internal terrain is, then you're going to be bulletproofing yourself to anything that can come in. Pathogens can't take over a healthy environment. Remember that, and it can be a lot easier. Even if it's not us here or wherever it is, please go, if you feel like you need to, please go and find somebody you can work with, somebody you resonate with, because you're going to get there a lot quicker. And with something like this going round, you need to get yourself as healthy as possible as soon as possible. As I mentioned before, www.reviveyourself.co, that's my website. Lots of articles on there. You've got our shop on there for all great supplements. Follow me at Ryan__Martin_ on Insta, or Revive_ on Insta, or at Ryan Martin or Revive Yourself on Facebook. Otherwise, guys and girls, that's it for this week. Oh, I did forget to mention, we've also got my book that's out if you haven't got that yet. www.thechronicfatiguesolution.com for my book, The Chronic Fatigue Solution, which you can get in both hardback and audio copies, and it will give you the 3 big secrets to health, which we go into a lot in this show, and it will just give you a nice understanding of what you need to do. And then it'll probably give you understanding a little bit more about what I do in my work if you're new to us, into Revive, so you can understand at a deeper level exactly what it takes to get yourself happy, healthy, and whole. So that's it for this week, guys. Keep yourself. I mean, if you're in self-isolation, lots of stuff you can still do. Breath work, hot and cold showers, exercise, get out in sunlight, good food, spend time with people you love. And as I said before, with the media, always about panic, fear, and creating lots of stress. Turn it off. Step away from the gunman. Get away from it. Turn it off. Watch something funny, comedy, something joyful. Listen to music that highes your vibration, because stress, nothing lowers the immune system like stress. That's another thing to do. So make sure you don't get too wrapped up in that. And otherwise, keep doing what you can. Okay. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.